Welcome back to the Safety Roadmap Podcast. Today, we'll be touching on a topic that's often brought up by those looking to secure their workplace from hazards and care about health and safety.
Okay, so get this right. Today, we are going way up high. Well, no, literally, but you know what I mean. We're diving into the world of scaffolding today, thanks to you.
Always a good time to be up in the air, even if it's just figuratively.
Right. And you sent us some seriously cool stuff, excerpts and diagrams from what looks like an Arabic safety manual for scaffolding.
Yeah, this manual is fascinating. Even with the language barrier, the visuals are amazing. It's incredible how much detail they packed in here.
It's like they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And these diagrams, they're speaking volumes.
Definitely. And it's clear they take safety seriously.
Absolutely. Which, I mean, come on, when you're talking about structures that literally hold people up while they're building.
Yeah, safety is non-negotiable. It's not just about the building, it's about the people building it.
Exactly. So where should we start with this? I'm seeing different types of scaffolding here. Kind of like how you choose the right tool from a toolbox, I guess.
Exactly. You wouldn't use a screwdriver to hammer in a nail. And scaffolding is the same way. Each type has its own strengths and ideal uses.
Okay, so walk us through. What are we working with here?
Let's start with the classic frame scaffolding. It's like the trusty hammer in your toolbox. If you need a solid, dependable structure and you're working on a fairly straightforward rectangular design, frame scaffolding is your go-to.
So it's like the quick and easy solution, get the job done without too much fuss.
Exactly. And then when you need something with a bit more flexibility, you step up to tube and clamp scaffolding.
Tube and clamp is how it sounds like literally tubes and clamps.
Yep, pretty much. Instead of pre-built frames, you're connecting individual tubes using various clamps.
So way more adaptable, but probably takes a bit longer to put together.
You got it. But with tube and clamp, you can create almost any configuration imaginable. It's like the difference between, say, building with Legos versus building with, I don't know, modeling clay or something. You've got so much more freedom to customize.
Oh, I like that analogy. Legos versus modeling clay. Frame scaffolding Legos. Tube and clamp modeling clay. Got it. What about when you're on a tight deadline and need something that practically builds itself?
In that case, you'd probably be looking at modular system scaffolding. It's pre-engineered and prefabricated, so assembly is super quick.
So it's like those meal kits you get delivered. Everything's prepped and ready to go.
Exactly. Though I wouldn't recommend eating the scaffolding no matter how quick and easy it is to assemble.
Good point. Now, this next one sounds straight out of a James Bond movie, rolling scaffolding.
Now, that one is just plain cool scaffolding, but make it mobile.
Scaffolding on wheels. I bet those are popular.
Definitely handy for jobs where you need to move around frequently. But as you can imagine, there are extra safety considerations with a moving structure.
Right. Can't be too careful when you've got wheels involved.
Yep.
Okay, last but not least, and this one always makes me a little nervous just thinking about it, suspended scaffolding.
Ah, yes, the kind you see dangling from the sides of skyscrapers. Definitely not for the faint of heart.
No kidding.
But when you need to work on vertical surfaces, like the face of a building, suspended scaffolding is often the only way to go.
So we've got our workhorse, our custom builder, our speedy option, and our high-flying daredevil. But looking at this diagram you sent over, I think it's page 5 in the manual, even the simplest scaffolding setup has a surprising number of parts.
Right. It's easy to forget that something temporary can be so complex, but each of those components plays a vital role in keeping the whole structure safe and sound.
Like a finely tuned machine. But instead of an engine, we're talking about, well, tubes and clamps, I guess, and those base plates.
And those are just the tip of the iceberg. This diagram's like a crash course in scaffolding anatomy.
All right, then, Dr. Scaffolding.
Yeah.
Let's dissect this thing. What makes these temporary giants tick?
Well, why don't we start with the foundation, so to speak, the base plates.
Base plates, those sound pretty basic.
They are, but they're absolutely essential. Think of them as the unsung heroes of the scaffolding world. They're what distribute the entire weight of the structure onto the ground.
Okay, so super important. Got it. What's the manual say about them?
Well, for starters, it emphasizes how important it is to choose the right type and size of base plate for the soil conditions.
Oh, right, because different ground types can handle different loads.
Exactly. Imagine building on a big pile of jelly. That's what you're risking if you use the wrong base plates and the ground is too soft. The whole thing could just sink right in.
Yikes, okay. Definitely don't want that to happen. So we've got our base plate sorted. What comes next?
Next up, you've got your standards. These are the vertical supports, the backbone of the whole structure. And then running horizontally between the standards, you have your ledgers.
Ledgers.
Yeah, they're basically horizontal beams that support the platforms where the workers stand and the materials are kept.
Right, those platforms. Okay, so starting to see how this all fits together. Standards up and down, ledgers across. It's like a giant, super strong jungle gym.
That's not a bad way to think about it. And just like a jungle gym needs extra support to keep from wobbling, scaffolding relies on bracing.
Racing.
Yeah, those are the diagonal supports that give this structure its lateral stability.
So it's not just about holding weight, it's also about keeping everything steady.
Exactly. Especially when you consider things like wind. This manual actually points out that scaffolding in windy areas will often have additional bracing for that very reason.
Makes sense. It's one thing to support a bunch of weight when it's just standing still, but wind can really push and pull on a structure.
Exactly. And speaking of things that need to be strong and secure, let's talk about platforms.
Platforms, right. Seems like that's where all the action happens.
Absolutely. The platforms are where the workers are standing, where they're keeping their tools and materials. So, obviously, they need to be incredibly sturdy.
What does the manual say about platforms?
Well, it talks a lot about using strong materials, for one thing, and then there are specific guidelines for how the platforms need to overlap the supports to avoid any weak points.
Right. It's all about making sure there's no chance of anything giving way. Okay, so we've got the platform sorted. What about safety features? I mean, those guardrails seem like a no-brainer, but I'm guessing there's more to it than meets the eye.
Oh, absolutely. The manual is very specific about guardrails, and for good reason. They're literally a worker's first line of defense against a fall.
And I imagine a fall from scaffolding height is nothing to mess around with.
Not at all. So the manual specifies things like the minimum height requirement for guardrails and how they need to be securely attached to the scaffolding structure.
Right, so they can actually do their job if someone stumbles or loses their balance.
Exactly. And then, in addition to guardrails, you often have something called a toe board.
A toe board, what's that?
It's basically a vertical barrier at the edge of the platform that's designed to prevent objects from falling off.
Oh, so it's like a safety net, but for tools and materials instead of people.
Exactly. Construction sites are busy places, things happen, and it's easy for something to get knocked off a platform accidentally. The toe board is just another layer of safety to prevent those mishaps from turning into something more serious.
Makes sense. Every little bit helps. Okay, so we've got our platforms, our guardrails, our toe boards. How are people even getting up to these platforms in the first place?
Good question. We can't forget about ladders.
Right, but I mean, are we talking about just any old ladder?
Not exactly. The manual actually stresses the importance of using proper ladders that are specifically designed for scaffolding.
So there's special scaffolding ladders.
That's right. They're built to be extra sturdy, and they have special features to ensure they're securely attached to the scaffolding at the right angle.
You don't want a wobbly ladder when you're 100 feet in the air. Okay, what else are we missing here? Oh, I see something in this diagram labeled universal jacks. What are those all about?
Those are pretty neat. Think of universal jacks like adjustable legs for the scaffolding. Not every construction site is perfectly level, so these jacks allow for fine-tuning to make sure the entire structure is stable.
So even if the ground is uneven, they can adjust those jacks to make sure the scaffolding is perfectly balanced.
Precisely. They're like those little leveling feet you find on some appliances.
Right. Keeps everything from wobbling. Okay, so we've got our basic structure down, base plates, standards, ledgers, platforms, bracing. We've got our safety features, guardrails, toe boards, and special scaffolding ladders. We've even got adjustable legs to handle uneven ground. What I'm wondering now is, how do you actually attach this temporary structure to a permanent building?
That's where the magic of scaffolding ties and anchors comes in. These are the connections that link the temporary scaffolding to the permanent structure.
So they're like the glue that holds it all together.
In a way, yes. And just like there are different types of scaffolding for different jobs, there are also different types of ties, each one designed for a specific purpose and situation.
Okay, so let's break down the tie party. What are we working with here?
Well, one of the most common types is called a through tie. Pretty self-explanatory. It goes through an opening in the wall, like a window or a doorway, and anchors the scaffolding to the building structure.
So it's like threading a needle, but on a much larger scale. What about when you don't have a convenient opening to thread through?
Right. In those cases, you might use reveal ties, which are anchored to the face of the wall. Or if you need a super strong connection, there are anchor bolts, which are drilled directly into the building structure.
Wow, okay, so we've got ties going through walls, ties anchored to the surface, ties bolted right into the building. It sounds like they've really thought of everything.
They really have. And the manual actually has a really helpful diagram. I think it was on page 12 that shows exactly where these different types of ties are typically placed.
I bet that's helpful for visualizing how it all comes together.
Definitely. And the diagram also highlights how important it is for those ties to be strong, because they're not just holding the weight of the scaffolding itself, they also have to contend with things like wind loads, which can be incredibly powerful.
Right, because wind can really push and pull on a structure, especially something tall and exposed like scaffolding. Okay, so we've got our scaffolding types, we've got our components, we've got our ties. What else is this manual highlighting when it comes to keeping those workers safe up there?
Well, with all this talk about strong connections and sturdy structures, this one might seem obvious, but the manual spends a lot of time talking about capacity.
Capacity, you mean like weight limits?
Exactly. Just like you wouldn't want to overload an elevator, you never want to exceed the weight capacity of a scaffolding structure.
That makes sense. Too much weight and the whole thing could come crashing down.
Exactly. And this manual really drives that point home. It stresses that each type of scaffolding has a specific weight limit, and that exceeding that limit is incredibly dangerous.
So knowing your limits is crucial. Anything else we need to keep in mind?
Well, we talked about base plates earlier, and how important it is to choose the right ones for the soil conditions. But the manual actually goes a step further and talks about the importance of foundations in general.
So it's not just about the base plates themselves, it's about what those base plates are resting on.
Exactly. The ground itself needs to be stable enough to support the weight of the entire structure. They actually give an example. It's like building a house on sand. You might get away with it for a little while, but any shift or instability and the whole thing could collapse.
So no cutting corners when it comes to foundations. What else did you notice about the manual's approach to safety?
One thing that really stood out to me is how much they emphasize regular inspection and maintenance.
So it's not enough to just build it right. You have to keep checking up on it to make sure everything's still in good working order.
Exactly. It's like getting your car serviced regularly. Better to catch a small problem early on than to wait until it becomes a major issue.
That's a great way to put it. So what does that look like in the world of scaffolding?
Well, the manual talks about having a designated person regularly inspect the scaffolding for any signs of damage, wear and tear, loose connections, anything that could compromise its stability.
So it's like a safety checkup for the scaffolding itself.
Exactly. And the manual even mentions using different colored tags to indicate the status of the scaffolding.
Colored tags.
Yeah, like a green tag might mean all clear, while a yellow tag might mean proceed with caution, and a red tag would obviously mean do not use danger.
Oh, that's a really smart system. It creates a clear visual cue for everyone on the site.
Right, so even if you're not the one who did the inspection, you can tell at a glance whether or not the scaffolding has been given the all clear.
That's fantastic. It's like a universal language for scaffolding safety.
Exactly. And speaking of communication, that's another thing the manual really emphasizes the importance of clear communication on the work site.
So it's not just about the physical structure of the scaffolding. It's also about how people are communicating and working together to ensure safety.
Exactly. The manual actually mentions the importance of something called toolbox talks.
Toolbox talks. What are those?
It's basically a chance for the team to get together, go over the day's work, address any safety concerns, and make sure everyone's on the same page.
Ah, so it's like a quick team huddle before the big game.
Exactly. It helps to create that culture of safety where everyone is looking out for each other.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about building a strong structure, it's about building a strong safety culture as well.
Exactly. And I think that's a great takeaway from this manual. Even though we only had excerpts, and even with the language barrier, it's clear they take a really comprehensive approach to scaffolding safety.
Absolutely. We've gone from the nuts and bolts, or maybe I should say the tubes and clamps of the scaffolding structure itself, to the critical role of communication, inspection, and ongoing maintenance. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And I think the next time I see scaffolding, I'm going to have a whole new appreciation for everything that goes into making sure those structures are safe and secure.
Me too. It's easy to forget how much thought and care goes into something we often just walk by without a second thought.
Exactly. But those temporary structures play such a vital role in building the world around us.
They do. And they're a great reminder that safety and innovation often go hand in hand. So next time you're walking by a construction site, take a moment to appreciate those scaffolding structures, those silent giants that are helping to build our future, one carefully constructed level at a time. Until our next deep dive, stay curious.
Thanks for sticking with us until the end of this episode. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen and engage with our content. If you found value in what you heard today, please don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us reach more people and lets us know we're on the right track. And if you haven't already, make sure to follow our channel so you never miss an upcoming episode. We've got some great topics lined up that you won't want to miss. Lastly, if you know someone who could benefit from this information, why not share the video with them? Spread the knowledge and help your colleagues stay informed. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.